giving a profile of the account, and the telex transfer dated the 26th June 2015 to TK Exports with the foreign funds transfer request form, a copy of the foreign transfer request form. Dated 26 June 2015. This is a multimedia. This is multimedia.
A few questions, please. On the volume of debit transaction, you have 38,760,871. Is that in Dalasi or dollar? The transaction volume, are you reporting in Dalasi? Because the currency code we have is US dollars. Let's return it so you have a reference. And can you tell us who signed? Yeah, was it the MD or the executive director? And it's also not on bank letterhead. Yeah. So could you, you prepared this on the 18th today, or yes, just fill in those little details?
Yeah, before we supposed to present on Mobicel. That was the beginning, the early days.
Okay.
I think it was in August last year.
All right.
Yeah.
So, just put the name of the person who signed.
Okay.
Yeah. Under the date or above, and clarify whether the volumes are in dollars or Dalasi.
Okay.
Can we clarify on this and get back to you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry? You said you wanted to clarify. I said go ahead. Did I miss?
What I mean is, you wanted it on letterhead, and also I'm not too sure of the figures that are here, because perhaps maybe it was prepared by someone, but I didn't validate before coming. So what I'm saying is that if I will need to validate this properly from the records, put it on my letterhead and revert back to you and send it back to you. Will that be okay?
Okay, so you're not sure who signed it,
I'm not sure of the figures.
the figures?
Yes.
But who submitted it and signed?
Sorry?
That signature, is that yours?
It's
or-
mine. It's
That's
mine.
yours.
Yes.
Now you want to go back and
I want
validate.
to go back and revalidate.
Then we can't have it. Chairman? He wants to go back.
Yes, but
Yes,
we still
do
need
that.
to, I have applied to admit that document, so I'm sure you have a copy in your office. We still need to retrieve and admit the document.
Yes. That's it.
detailed report on Mobicel Blue Ocean Wireless Company Limited, signed by witness number 215, Managing Director, GTB, by his own admission today, and dated 18th July 2018, plus related documents in respect of the $3.6 million transfer to TK Export LLC, Dubai, admitted mark BB128.
Mr. Adebesin, in the light of the issues that were raised, commissioners, you'll be required to come back in person on Monday at 10 to provide the documents and additional information requested.
Thank you very much. You may leave now. You may go. You may leave.
Honorable Commissioners, I recall Mr. Momodu Sabali for cross-examination at the instance of Mr. Mohamed Bazi and Mr. Fadi Mazegi.
With respect to this Honorable Commission, Victoria Andrews, therefore, Mr. Mohamed Bazi and Mr. Fadi Mazeki.
I think you should make it.
No, I can't see, sir. With the glasses or without the glasses. I'm blind as a bat. I'm not used to the glasses.
Good morning, sir. Please kindly be reminded of your oath.
Mr. Chairman, may I proceed? Shall I proceed?
You may proceed.
I'm grateful.
I don't know why you always ask for permission. It's automatic.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sabali.
Good afternoon.
Can you confirm the period you were in the office of the President?
From June 2013 to June 2014.
And the title you held?
Sorry?
The position you held?
Secretary General, Minister of Presidential Affairs.
Mr. Sabali, would it be a fair assessment to say, or a fair description, that public servants presumed the President had an interest in all things? Presumed that the former President, had an interest in all things? You can't hear? Would it be a fair assessment to say that public servants presumed that the former President, had an interest in all things?
What do you mean by all things?
Private matters, public matters. He had an interest in everything in the Gambia, business.
In the Gambia, yes.
So your answer, that's a fair assumption.
Yes.
Would it also be a fair assumption or fair description to say that this was more psychological than fact?
I'd say both psychological and fact.
Was this used to have an impact on society?
Very well.
Would I be correct in saying that whilst you were in the office of the President, that most investors in strategic industries or who were investing millions of dollars went to the office of the President?
Yes.
Would I be correct to say that projects of those nature could not proceed without the support or approval of the former President?
Yes.
Would you agree that no decision could be taken by any of the ministries without seeking approval of the office of the President?
Yes.
Are you aware that legal opinions from the Attorney General went to the office of the President for approval?
The question is not very clear.
Let me rephrase.
Yes.
Are you aware of any legal opinion from the office of the President, from the Attorney General's chambers, that was sent to the office of the President to obtain his approval before any action could be taken?
Yes.
Would I be fair in saying this also applied to prosecutions?
Yes.
Prosecutions, charges laid by the state.
Yes, very well.
Mr. Sabali, did the former president hide anything? Did he hide what he owned? What was his, what was in his name or in his company's names?
Hide from who?
From those around him, from you, from the public.
I can say for sure I was pretty close to him, but I knew for sure that I didn't know everything about him. He wouldn't want people to know everything about him.
Was it hidden when he withdrew monies from the bank, the central bank, that they were for him?
Certainly, by the nature of his operation, even if he doesn't give you instruction to hide things, you would know that if he gives you instruction, it's between you and him, and you're not supposed to tell anybody.
Did the president need anyone to pretend they were fronting for him?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Did the former president require anyone to pretend they were fronting for him, doing business on his behalf?
I know on occasion he has used people as shareholders in his business registration who I know are actually not holding shares and are not investing. So to that extent, he was using fronts.
And who is this? Who?
I know General Solbaji, for instance.
Sorry?
General Solbaji.
Would I be right in saying that the former president was not known to keep his friends? He did not really have friends.
He was not a loyal friend, that much I can say. He was not loyal to anybody.
So even those he was close to, he would fall out with?
Sure.
And he would prosecute them?
He would do anything as he sees fit.
What was the last question?
And he would prosecute them.
He would prosecute them.
Mr. Sabali, investment or the growth of the economy, was that important to the former president?
Yes, it was very important to him.
Okay. So you would agree that
Sorry, we are having difficulty hearing you, Mrs.
The question.
Hearing counsel. Maybe
Sorry.
if you slow down a little bit in terms of the sentences. We're having difficulty. I think the commissioners also are having difficulty.
Yeah, for
What was
example,
the
we
last-
had investments. We don't hear the full sentence. Midway, it drops.
I'll ask again. Was the former president encouraging investment in the Gambia?
Yes.
Was this encouragement both local and foreign investment?
Yes, both local and foreign. He went out of his way to encourage people to invest in the country.
What strategic areas would you say were the investments?
I know he was particularly interested in energy agriculture, and manufacturing. Manufacturing.
Mr. Sabali, as part of this encouragement of investment or investors, would you agree that the office of the president was highly involved in the let me rephrase. As part of this encouragement of investment, would you agree that the office of the president would then be highly involved in correspondences or dealings with these investors and the various ministries?
Yes, highly, definitely.
You're also aware that the investors in the Gambia, or some of the foreign investors in the Gambia came from far and wide. You would agree?
Yes.
Far and wide. Far and wide. So there were Dutch, British, Lebanese, and so forth.
Yes.
Okay. And these investments related to car dealerships, storage facilities, farming, and so forth.
Yes.
In fact, one of the largest investments during that period was from Karafi.
I would not know. I had no dealings with the Karafi team when I was in office.
Okay. But you're aware that they built a hotel, the Sheraton?
Yes, before I came into office as SG.
You're aware they have a farm?
Yes.
Which produces potatoes and onions?
Yes.
Mr. Sabali, let me take you back. The business interests of the president, which you said some were hidden, some were not hidden. And would I be correct in saying that the former president competed with businessmen in the Gambia? Yes. He set up competing businesses? Yes. Okay. Mr. Sabali, would I be correct in saying the former president micromanaged the Gambia? Yes. When you say very well, what do you mean?
Practically the entire government was being run at State House. And like you earlier alluded to, all major decisions had to be approved by the presidency.
So would I then be correct to say that the office of the president had a lot of visitors, both public and private, in and out of the office of the president?
True.
Okay. So that was the norm?
Yes.
Okay. Would you agree it was also the norm that purchases or projects from ministries or public corporations had to go through the office of the president?
Can you clarify, please?
If you had to purchase, or a ministry had to purchase vehicles from, say, CFO, Shaiben Mahdi, or TK Motors, or if a ministry had a project it wanted to enter into, would that have to be approved from the office of the president?
From my experience, vehicle purchases were handled by the Ministry of Finance when I was budget director, and at some point it moved to the presidency. So it has not always been through the presidency. And in terms of projects, I know some of these donor-funded projects have some kind of autonomy where they could do their own procurement without necessarily going through the presidency.
Okay, thank you. Would you agree that the largest consumer of products was the government of the Gambia?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. That is all. I have no further questions.
I do have some questions.
I just want to be enlightened. You mentioned micromanagement. What does that mean, please?
Is that question for me?
Yes. I think the question was put to you.
Yes.
That the president micromanaged the Gambian economy.
Yeah, it was a question put to me.
you.
So it was her award, and I agreed. And from my viewpoint was that normally you would expect the Ministry of Finance to take decisions on financial issues, for the Telecoms Ministry to handle all telecoms issues. But at least during my time, I knew that none of those ministries dared take any significant decision without sending it to the presidency for approval.
Thank you.
Mr. Sabali, the question relates to the investors in and out of the State House. What was it about the talent pool or the skill set at the office of the president that warranted seeing investors? We had an export promotion agency, GAIPA. They couldn't do the job?
I think it was more about power than talent or skills.
Power?
Power, yes. I guess everybody who was coming into this country knew that power was centralized and Yahya Jammeh had the final say on anything. So people came there to get his blessings in terms of anything they wanted to do. Personally, I used to discourage people from coming to State House, but people would insist that they want to come to State House because they feel that without Yahya Jammeh's approval, you could not do anything in this country.
Now, did this apply to both foreign and domestic investors?
Both foreign and domestic, but mostly foreign. Mostly foreign.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Sabali, the question about regarding legal opinions is what I would like you to explain, to clarify. Are you saying that when the Attorney General gives a legal opinion, the draft comes to the Office of the President for clearance before it issues?
What I understand about these legal opinions is I know a lot of prosecutions during my time emanated from the presidency rather than the AG's chambers. So the president would say prosecute, or in cases of international arbitration, they would send their opinion, because Jammeh actually was so involved in these matters that he would not only tell AG's chambers to prosecute, but he would actually tell them what kind of charges should be preferred against the accused people in his own handwriting. So occasionally they would send in legal opinion to tell him that this is what we think, and it was based on his approval that they would take the next steps.
So it's based on his approval of the opinion?
Yes.
Not that he would tell them what to write in their opinion?
No, not necessarily. They would come in with their own professional advice and opinion, and then he would take a decision.
Okay.
And most of the time, he would not agree.
He would not
He would not agree. He would
agree
want,
with their opinion.
yes, he would want them to do exactly what he wants done.
Okay. All right, that's different, I think. You said you agreed that there were people fronting for him in business, and you gave an example of General Solbaji.
Yes.
Do you have other examples of people fronting for him?
I knew he used family members. There was this name, Jimbi Jammeh was
Jimbi
also
Jammeh.
used.
He was fronting for him in what business?
I would not remember specifically, but I know in cases where his incorporation documents, he would ask that Solbaji or Jimbi, or both of them, would sign as either partners or shareholders.
Do you know of any non-family member, apart from General Solbaji, who I assume is not a family member, at least
Okay.
from the evidence so far? Do
Yeah.
you know anybody else?
No, none.
You said he did not interfere generally in donor, well, not, you didn't say that. You said donor-funded projects were generally autonomous.
Yeah, largely.
By autonomous, you meant they went through a procedure in the manner in which they were granted.
Yeah, the question arose in terms of procurement.
Yes.
And I know that these donors, they have their own conditions and rules as to procurement. So a project can go to CFAO or TK Motors and buy their vehicles without needing approval from the presidency.
Okay. Are you aware that in regard to NAWEC procurement, the president actually, according to the evidence we have, directed that an award be set aside because he did not agree that it should be awarded to a particular bidder?
Sorry, I didn't hear the last part.
Are you aware of a NAWEC project where the president, which was donor funded by the IDB, but the president directed that the successful bidder should not be awarded the project, and it went back to tender?
Yes,
You're aware of that?
yes, I'm aware of that.
So donor projects may not be insulated.
Now, this is an exceptional case because this is about the biggest procurement that could have happened in government. But yes, this particular one, he insisted to the point of the Gambia actually potentially losing this funding, but he insisted that a certain particular institution should not be awarded this particular procurement.
Okay. During the time that you were Secretary General, was there any other time when he interfered in this manner in a donor project in favor of anyone?
No, it was only issues relating to NAWEC.
Now, it was put to you that investors came in far and wide, but you would agree that some investors are favored above others?
I'm sorry.
Would you agree that some
Sorry.
investors?
Mr. Chairman, may I interject? I'm objecting to Council's line of questioning. This is clarification, this is re-examination. This is her witness. I examined him on matters that she has already put before the commission, but in a more general terms, and counsel is seeking to re-examine the witness, seeking to examine the witness again by putting these questions to the witness. And I'm objecting to the line of questioning.
Yeah. What do you say, Counsel?
I'm not quite clear about the grounds of objection, but this witness was asked a question to which he answered that investors came from far and wide. And I, in my submission, both the answer to the question just leaves the question open. He said yes, so I needed clarification that there are investors, all investors are not equal They may come from far and wide, but they were not equal. And I think this is a fair question arising from the general question that my learned friend put to the witness. After all, we are not here for, this commission is not about investors far and wide. It's investors who had dealings with the ex-president, financial dealings with the ex-president. So in my humble submission, it's a fair question to put to the witness in re-examination.
The question is allowed. The objection is denied. You didn't hear? I said the question is allowed.
Very well. Don't lie like this, huh? You can answer the question.
Yeah, from my observation, Jammeh had his quirks. He had certain ill disposition towards certain investors, and he showed other investors goodwill. So he didn't treat everybody equally.
Right. Thank you.
That's all?
Yes,
Anything else? Now we are going to eat now. Yeah. Well, thank you. You may go. We'll rise. We'll be back at 2:30.